What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another live episode of Lamplight City. And no, Joe, I'm not going for a wee. I'm getting myself a cup of coffee. I'm getting myself a nice caramel apple coffee. So give me a few seconds to get that going, and then I'll be right back, and we can start the episode. I'll see you in a sec. Alright, everybody, we are back, and Joe is jealous. Let's get into the game and talk to Mr. Malcolm Harris. Alright.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Harris.
Most certainly do, sir.
Yes, of course.
Oh, and I changed my mind. I didn't go with a apple caramel coffee. I decided to go with English toffee. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the kidnapping.
Tell me everything you can about the kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much. I was out last night while it happened.
Right.
Where had you been previously?
I was out with friends. My wife can verify the time I arrived home.
It seems hiding something from your spouse is an activity both Harrises partake in.
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself.
There isn't much to tell, really. My life has been fairly well publicized in the newspapers.
Let's pretend for a moment that I skip over the society pages.
Well, I'm an investor. My father Clyde runs Harris Construction Company, which I will someday inherit. Any other details about me are fairly trivial nonsense, I think.
All right. And no, Joe, I'm not that kind of gross guy that sends those kinds of pictures. I have respect for whammons. And that is the truth. No, I'm going to ask about the baby.
Charles is a good boy. Very quiet. Miriam had wanted a child almost from the moment we married. You know how women are when they have their hearts set on something. I saw no need to rush, but...
Nice to know you're not the only one. Hey, Miles.
The first 2 times Miriam
Shut up.
was with child, she suffered some unfortunate accidents. She was devastated, as you can imagine. So when Charles finally came along, he turned out to be quite a blessing. I can't imagine what sort of depraved madman would take him from us like this.
Whoa.
You must find him, Mr. Fordham.
I intend to, Mr. Harris. I found this button in your son's crib. Does it look familiar at all?
No, not at all. Do you think the kidnapper might have left it behind?
It's a distinct possibility.
I
found this bit of torn fabric by the broken window. Do you know anything about it?
Looks like it came from a piece of clothing. Possibly a jacket.
Did the initials SS mean anything to you?
Super sexy.
Maybe? I can't really say. You'll have to excuse me, Mr. Fordham. I've got quite a lot on my mind right now.
Yeah.
If I can think of anything, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay there. Angry letter.
I found this letter in your bedroom. What can you tell me about it?
You went through our things?
I'm a private investigator, Mr. Harris. It's part of my job.
Of all the insolence!
You're upset, I know, but do you want me to find your son or don't you?
Yes, of course I do.
Uh-huh.
That letter was sent to me by mistake. It was written to my father. Well, if you can even call that writing.
Have I ever mentioned how much I hate rich people? Because I really hate rich people.
Your father. Doesn't he own the company building the new airship?
Yes, that's right.
Uh-huh.
He's been receiving many letters just like that one since the Lygia disaster. But
Ooh.
that Devons fellow in particular has sent one every week, along with a bag of chicken bones and dust.
How peculiar.
Not only that, he leads a daily protest in front of the construction yard where the HMS Lenore is being built, trying to halt production. My God! How did I not see this before?
See what?
Devons! He has a grudge against this family because of what happened with the Lygia. I'd put money on him being involved with the kidnapping somehow, as a form of retaliation.
I'll just have to speak with Mr. Devons and see for myself.
Yeah, see, Tumblr's got the right idea. Me drinking my nice apple coffee and call him the chill effect. I'm gonna ask about the HMS Lenore because Joe wants to ask about the stub.
How goes the construction of the new airship?
There have been some complications, but nothing we can't handle.
Could you be a bit more specific?
Well, I already told you about the trouble with protesters at the yard, and we're blocked pending Royal Maverick's review of the safety regulations for the prototype etheric diffusion engines.
Oh.
Agitators and red tape aside, we should still be on schedule to have the Lenore finished and in the air by the end of the year. But really, Mr. Fordham, what the deuce does this have to do with finding Charles?
He has a
Everything.
point, you know.
Okay, so we'll just end the conversation here.
Mr. Harris, what can you tell me about these?
What? How did you...
Listen, I'm trying to help you and your family. I can't do it if I don't get the entire truth.
Uh-huh. Plus, I told you I was rooting through your
discuss
stuff.
this somewhere more private?
Sure.
I suppose we could.
How about your mistress's
Let's
place?
move to the nursery then.
Okay, quick, talk to her. Ask her about the thing with the stuff.
I have some questions for you if you're up to answering them, Mrs. Harris.
Shut up. Quit your whining.
Right. Your husband's not around to hear you, so tell me about this note.
Aha.
Fine. I got that note last night from Roland.
Who is Roland?
Roland is a special friend.
I see.
Don't you
FWB.
judge me, Mr. Fordham. You have no idea what my marriage has been like.
I'm not judging, I'm
Marrying
just
Malcolm
curious. Can
wasn't
I get
my
in on the
idea,
action?
Nor even his. The whole thing was orchestrated by our fathers. They thought merging the two families would be a good business arrangement.
Is your marriage an unhappy one then?
It wasn't easy at first. And it didn't get any easier as it went on, either.
So then why not end it?
Mr. Fordham, we are a respectable family. There are certain considerations. Besides, I had no legal grounds. For all his faults, Malcolm is a very faithful man.
I don't
Most
know.
frustratingly so. Then, somewhat unexpectedly, we had Charles. At least that made things bearable.
I'm sorry for you, Mrs. Harris, I really am. But I think I should talk to this Roland.
Why? He has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
That's for me to decide. Where can I find him?
I don't know. I've never been to his home. We usually meet at a hotel.
Can you tell me anything that would help me track him down?
Well, he's a musician.
He's got a big
He plays the piano at
piano.
some clubs in Gascon, but I don't know which for sure.
How about his last name?
I don't know that either.
I gather you don't talk much.
I refuse to answer that question, Mr. Fordham.
It's a good thing I don't have a stomach anymore, because I can guarantee you its contents would be on the floor right now.
That's all for now, Mrs. Harris.
Very well.
Okay. Just got a text from my mama. Wants to know when I want to come over for dinner this weekend.
Shall we continue our conversation, Mr. Harris?
Yes, of course.
Now that your wife is out of earshot, tell me about the kidnapping and what these betting stubs have to do with it.
Right. As I said before, it had already happened when I got home. I had just come from spending the evening at the meadows.
I see. I take it your wife isn't impressed by your hobby?
I promised her weeks ago that I would stop going, but I've had such a good streak lately. The last thing I wanted was to upset her further, yet it would be foolish of me to just give up on something so promising.
Okay, agreed.
Can you think of anyone who might want to do you harm by taking your son?
Several, I'm afraid.
Go on.
I haven't exactly had the best of luck, Mr. Fordham. That's why this latest streak was so important to me. The truth is, I've gambled away most of my money. I've had to take out several loans so Miriam doesn't get suspicious. If she ever found out, it would be over. I can't lose her, Mr. Fordham. I just can't.
Where have I heard this before? You know, things would be so much easier if people just talked to each other.
I've tried doing business above board, but lately I've had to seek other resources.
What do you mean?
I was forced to visit a lending office. The owner was a rather shady Sambo, but I figured he'd be easier to deal with than the usual sheenies that run those type of places.
Can you believe this guy? Maybe we should just leave the kid be. He'd probably be better raised by wolves.
Who was the owner?
Mr. LeFay. I didn't bother to get his first name. His business is an abattoir row in Chumley. Horrid place, but I was desperate.
You think this Mr. LeFay may have taken your son as collateral?
Let's just say there isn't much those type of people wouldn't do to put a crown in their pocket.
Those are all the questions I had for now.
All right. If you don't mind, Mr. Fordham, I'm going back to the living room. I don't want Miriam getting suspicious.
Understood. No, there was nothing racist about that, Joe.
Look at that. Of course that is.
Okay. What do we do?
Nice. The Harris family certainly has a nice view from which to look down upon the world. I wonder if they use the balcony to give speeches to the gardeners.
That'd be awesome.
She looks like she's up to something. I know the hand and waistcoat.
Yeah, we already read that. We already know about the vase.
I'm sure the only location the Harrises care about is wherever they are at any given moment.
Okay, so there's really nothing else we could do except for go back outside. Can't talk to her. So now we'll go, wow, look at all the stuff. We've got, that's where we were. Miss Davis's quarters, Harris Construction Yard, and the lending office in Trollomondele. Let's go right next door. Oh, look at her, sweet little old lady. No need to yell.
Good day to you, ma'am. I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. I'm looking into the kidnapping of Charles Harris. Are you Mrs. Davis?
I am. Oh, bless the spirits. They've sent someone to help at last.
I have arrived, and I am one of the spirits of Christmas
That
past.
chest is full of undressed dolls? What the hell is wrong with this old bat? Seems like that boiler's the only thing in here that's less than 10 years old.
Less than 10 years old.
Another Harris hand-me-down, no doubt. You'd think they would have washed it first.
You'd think the old lady would have washed it. Oh, I'm gonna steal the book.
These are all books on spiritualism and the occult. Mrs. Davis doesn't seem to have many other hobbies. Her Majesty Queen Jessica. This was clearly painted a long time ago.
Okay.
I have some questions for you, Mrs. Davis.
All right.
You piece of crap. What?
How long have you worked as a nanny?
Only a few years. I never had to work when I was married. My husband had a lot of money.
Where did it all go?
Unfortunately, he was in great debt. And after the spirits took him back to the ether, I wasn't left with much.
Wow.
So I began working as a nanny to make ends meet.
That's nice.
But I consider taking care of children a reward in its own right.
Well, I'll be damned.
I couldn't help but notice that chest full of dolls in the corner.
Oh, that. Oh, I know it must look a bit strange.
A wee bit.
I pick up old and broken dolls so they can be repaired and donated to orphanages. It's my way of giving back to the community and helping poor children
What
who
a
have
sweet
nothing
lady.
to play with.
Aww.
What a kind soul. I wish she would find less creepy ways to express her altruism.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Tell me about the kidnapping of Charles Harris.
Oh dear, may the spirits forgive me. I feel so awful. Charlie was my responsibility, and I failed.
Mrs. Davis, that is beside the point. What's important now is finding him and bringing him home. To do that, I need your full cooperation.
Oh, you're right, Mr. Fordham. I'm sorry. I just need to collect my thoughts, get the negative vibrations out of my mind. Now, what specifically would you like to know?
Okay, why is she vibrating? Let's see about the
Found
button.
this button in the baby's crib. Do you recognize it?
It's mine.
Yes, that's one of Barney's eyes.
Barney.
Charlie's stuffed bear. It's his favorite toy, a gift from my friend Linda.
Aww.
I didn't find a stuffed bear in the nursery.
Then whoever took the baby must have taken Barney as well. Oh, at least the poor thing has something to comfort him. Bless the spirits.
Maybe, and this is just a speculation, but maybe the kidnapper came for the bear and took the baby as comfort for the bear. Mind blown.
I found this piece of torn fabric in the nursery. Does it look familiar to you?
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
What time did the kidnapping occur?
I'm not entirely sure.
You're useless.
I know I was in the nursery having a cup of tea about 8:30. I remember feeling very drowsy. I must have passed out then because the next thing I knew, I was being woken by Mrs. Harris. That was after she got home, about 10:30. To think, whoever took Charlie did it while I was in the room. Oh, may the spirits grant me peace.
Do you happen to take any sort of sleep medications or soporifics?
Oh, dear me, no. Those types of drugs cloud the mind and make it impossible to tune into the ether.
You say that as though it were a bad thing.
I beg your pardon?
Apologies, I spoke out of turn.
Ooh.
Who is Linda?
Mrs. Linda Walker. She's a good friend of mine. As I said, she gave me Barney as a gift for Charlie.
Can you tell me anything else about her?
Oh, she's a lovely girl, very much in tune with her spiritual nature. I greatly enjoy my conversations with her.
When was the last time you saw her?
Oh, I don't remember. No, wait. It was at the last Spectre Society meeting on the 19th. That's right.
This lady strikes me as very odd.
Do
Yeah.
you have Linda Walker's address?
No, I don't. I never visited her home. I get the feeling she doesn't like having visitors or being home very much. She prefers to meet people elsewhere. I was the same way after my husband died. It was embarrassing for my friends to see me living so differently. But I feel it's not just a matter of pride for dear Linda.
I'm paying attention,
I
Joe.
think there are lots of bad memories associated with where she lives. I try to stay away from places like that. They leave a mark on the soul, you know.
Can you think of anyone who would have wanted to take the child?
Well, I'm not one to gossip, but I am quite sensitive to the energy and vibrations that people give off. I get the impression that Mr. and Mrs. Harris aren't very happy in their marriage.
Ah, come on. Anyone could have picked up on that. Anyone except you, that is.
Mr. Harris likes to stay out late and not take his wife with him. I can't remember the last time they went out together.
Really?
I don't know what he gets up to, but it's possible he may have made some enemies.
Can you think of any reason why someone would want to kidnap Charles?
It might have been for money, but last I heard, there was no demand for a ransom. I honestly don't know why this happened, Mr. Fordham. I just hope you find the poor child. He must be scared to death.
Maybe. Now tell me about the Spectre Society.
What is the Spectre Society?
It's a club for spiritualists and amateur investigators of the paranormal. We meet twice a month to socialize and discuss our findings.
I see. Sounds fascinating.
Oh, I don't expect you to share my beliefs, Mr. Fordham.
Oh, I have a bit more experience than you'd think with regards to the spirit world.
You can say that again.
Where exactly do these meetings take place?
At a private residence in Gascon.
May I have the address?
Why, yes, it's 325 Rue Jameau. Are you going to seek spiritual guidance to find Charlie?
Perhaps. You never know what might be worth looking into.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for your time, Mrs. Davis.
Oh,
And
you're very welcome.
cracking this case wide open.
The Harris family doesn't seem to hold the comfort of this. I think a bed of nails would be an improvement.
Ooh. Shots fired. Don't really want to look at all the paintings and
It's
stuff.
a
Yeah.
My mother had a pewter...
Okay. Let's
I'll
get
be
out of
going
here.
now, Mrs. Davis.
May the spirits guide your path.
Where do we go, guys? Let's try the construction yard. We'll see if we can talk to Alvin and the Chipmunks or whatever his name was.
And so we say to Harris and his cronies, no, we will not stand for this. Too many have died to allow this to continue. Steam tech must be stopped.
Well, someone certainly wasn't shy about making their opinion known.
Protest leader,
Time has
protesters.
come to-
Don't these people have jobs they need to go to? But the way this gate is set up, I think trespassers should get an award for being able to breach the fortress.
Pardon me, are you Arthur Devons by any chance?
Yes, who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. Could I ask you a few questions?
Guess so, yeah.
You seem very dedicated to your cause.
I'll take that as a compliment, Mr. Fordham.
There's quite a lot of people who are against steam tech, aren't there?
Yes, the movement is gaining ground and growing rapidly, I'm pleased to say.
I've heard stories about some more extreme members. Do you know anything about that?
You mean the Red Axe? Sure, I've heard of them. Even met a few. But if you think I'm telling you anything else beyond that, you're sorely mistaken.
Are you a member of the Redites, Mr. Devons?
No, I prefer more peaceful methods of making my voice heard. Now, if you don't mind, I think we should drop the subject.
Uh-oh.
Do you recognize this button?
Can't say I do, but it looks handmade. I wonder how long it will be before the poor soul who crafted that button gets booted into the street, replaced with some steam-belching contraption.
Okay.
Does this piece of fabric look familiar to you?
Looks like it came from some fancy jacket, the type you'd expect to see on the snobs in Leon. I could never afford clothes like that in a million years.
Okay, that's telling.
Why are you out here protesting?
Because what Harris Construction is doing ain't right. I lost my wife in the Lygia crash, and I'm not the only one, neither. Hundreds of people were affected by that disaster, and now these bastards are making another airship. It's like a slap in the face to everyone who died. I just can't understand it.
What do you hope to accomplish by protesting?
Simple. We want construction of the Lenore stopped, and a full investigation into the Lygia disaster. Not only that, we want compensation for our losses. Royal Maverick took care of all the families of those on board, but the families of the ones in the park didn't get a single copper. It just isn't fair. We aim to make things right. After that, it'll just be a matter of time before people realize that there's no future in steam tech, and they'll call the whole thing off.
Ah, the innocence of the downtrodden. I wish I could be as naive as them. It would have made my life a lot easier.
You must have loved your wife very much.
Are you joking? I loved her more than there are stars in the sky. She was my whole world, Mr. Fordham, the light of my life. It's been nothing but cold and dark since she was killed. You're married, aren't you, Mr. Fordham? I see a ring on your finger.
I am, yes.
Then take my advice. Appreciate every moment you have with her. You never know when she'll be ripped out of your life, leaving you with nothing.
You know, this fellow was actually pretty wise. Maybe we misjudged him.
You recognize this letter, Mr. Devons?
How'd you get that? That wasn't meant for you.
Found it at the home of Mr. Malcolm Harris. He tells me you've been sending quite a few of these to his father.
Me and everyone else what had someone killed by that devil machine. I'm not the only one, you know.
Perhaps not, but he told me you were the most persistent.
Yeah,
Mr.
I see
Harris
what that
told
is.
me you send a bag of chicken bones and dust along with your letters. Why is that?
Chicken bones? Dust? Nah, that's not right. I've only sent letters.
Are you certain of that?
Yes, as sure as I'm standing here.
Right. And I'm the queen. I get the feeling this guy will crack if we figure out what the significance of his little gift is.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, Joe. His wife has set it all up to make this guy look guilty, and she's leaving her husband.
What have you got against the Harris family?
The family? Don't know nothing about the family. The only one I got a problem with is Clyde Harris, the one who owns this yard. He's just like all those other rich bastards with their heads in the clouds. The man don't care about the dead. He just wants to make as much money as he can. I'm just trying to make him realize how wrong he is.
Do you know anything about the kidnapping of Charles Harris?
Charles Harris? Who's that?
Clyde Harris's grandson.
I didn't even know he had a grandson. I can't believe someone with a grandkid, a family, would want more flying death in the air. How many more people have to die before someone realizes that steam machines are evil? People will kill their own mams for a crown these days.
Good day to you, Mr. Devons.
You too, Mr. Fordham.
You have my sentiments exactly, Joe. That was the red flag for me when they said that the teddy bear was taken.
Any longer.
When they said that the teddy bear was taken, that was the clue. It was like, no random kidnapper dude is going to take a teddy bear with them. They're going to take the baby and run, right? It's a woman's intuition to make the child feel comforted. And I think that would be something that a woman would more or less do, especially in this time zone.
Hello, sir. Welcome to LaFay Lenders. I'm the owner, Chester LaFay. Are you looking to take out a loan?
Not today, I'm afraid. I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator.
Look, I don't know what you've heard, but I run a clean business here. I don't need any trouble.
And I'm not here to cause any, for the moment.
Oh,
Just keep your nose where it belongs. We should get along fine.
I'm not sniffing your butt. You just relax there, buddy. Yeah, because the time period of this is the early 1800s. It's 17 something or 1840 something. So the men and women had specific roles, more or less. And that's where you would find that. And I'm not saying men these days wouldn't take a teddy bear for a baby if they were kidnapping them, which just a weird, whatever. You guys know what I'm saying.
That's the latest model Computron. They don't come cheap. LaFay must be doing pretty well for himself. LaFay with a woman and a small girl. I wouldn't have taken him for a family man.
Oh, he could have taken the baby as payment for the loan, and maybe they lost their child.
He actually has a degree in business from the University of New Bretagne? What a waste. A crew escaping a shipwreck on a violent sea. Not the most comforting painting to look at while waiting for a loan.
Okay, good. I'm glad you understand. Because, yeah, it just sounds weird when I'm saying it
I
like
shudder
that.
to think how many people's financial freedoms are locked away in that cabinet.
Yeah.
Do you suppose LaFay turns the heat up to put some pressure on his clients?
All right, let's talk to him.
Mr. LaFay, I'd like to ask you some questions.
Fine, but keep it brief.
I'll do as I please. I'm a cop. Well, at least I used to be.
Tell me a bit about yourself and your business, Mr. LaFay.
What's to tell? I lend people money, they pay me back.
Surely it's not that simple.
Right.
Well, of course I charge interest. Otherwise, I'd never make a profit. I know people don't look upon the service I provide very favorably, but without my help, there would be a lot more unhappiness in the world.
How did you go about starting up this business?
I didn't. My former employer, Mr. Roth, left it to me when he passed.
That was rather good of him.
Yes, well, he didn't have any heirs, and he considered me to be the son he never had. He was fond of my family, too. I try and keep my work and home life as far away from each other as I can, though. There's a lot of things in this line of work that my wife and daughter are better off not knowing about.
Tell me what you know about Malcolm Harris.
Ah, Mr. Harris. Took out a loan about a month ago. Still hasn't paid me back. In fact, he sent along a letter yesterday, saying he was having an emergency and needed more time. I probably should have refused to do business with him. As soon as he walked through the door, I could tell his type.
What type is that?
Upper class, bored with his life, trying to escape and doing it through vice. In his case, gambling.
This guy is good. Maybe you can pursue money lending if the whole private investigator thing doesn't work out.
But for some reason, I pitied him and decided to give him the loan anyway. Compassion isn't exactly an asset in this business, you see.
Nothing to worry about in your case, then.
Aside from that, I don't know anything about him. I prefer to keep how much I know about my clients to a minimum. Makes things easier for me.
I'm sure it does.
Take a look at this piece of fabric. Does it look familiar to you?
Sure, it looks like it came from a jacket.
Like
In
yours.
fact, yes, it's the same fabric as the jacket I'm wearing.
Would you mind if I took a look at your jacket?
Sure, not a problem. Here.
I don't know. I'm wondering if you can zoom in on a spot or something. Doesn't look like it. I can't open my casebook either. Weird. Alright, Tumblr, we'll see you in a sec.
No tears in mine, huh?
Not a one. You clearly take good care of your clothing.
I don't mean to discourage you, Mr. Fordham, but I've seen a lot of people with this style of jacket. Hell, even Malcolm has one. I remember he was wearing it when he came in here.
I see. Thank you for the information, Mr. LaFay.
Wait. Didn't we have more questions?
Go ahead then.
Are
Yeah.
you aware that Malcolm's son, Charles, was kidnapped last night?
I had no idea he even had a son. As I said, I don't ask my clients too many personal questions. Though now you've told me, I suppose that would explain the emergency he mentioned in his letter. Poor guy.
Exactly how much did Mr. Harris borrow from you?
Is that relevant to your investigation?
It would help to have an idea of exactly how much he owes you, yes.
I don't feel comfortable telling you the exact amount, but I will say it was over 500 crowns.
A considerable sum.
Like I said, probably shouldn't have done it, but I'll get the money back one way or another.
Ooh, it's gonna kick his ass.
What's your policy regarding people who don't pay their loans back?
There are a few options. For the first 3 months or so, I'll send them a letter reminding them. After that, I start to threaten them with legal action. You wouldn't believe some of the things people do to avoid paying back their loans. One client went so far as to fake his own death.
Do you ever employ any more unusual methods?
Now wait just a minute. I see where this is going.
Whoa.
Mr. Fordham, I'm a family man myself. If you're implying that I would stoop to kidnapping someone's child as collateral,
I never said that, Mr. LeFay.
look, I have a family to consider. I'm not about to go getting my hands dirty when there's plenty of legitimate ways to handle the situation.
I think that's all for now.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this episode and stream. Thank you so very much for watching and hanging out today. I do appreciate it. And we're going to have to find out what happened to the bye-bye in the next episode, hopefully. Or at least sometime soon. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.